Hi guys, welcome to Life is for the Living. Now today I want to give you a story. Maybe I'll start with a question. Like, have you ever maybe accepted a job just for the sole purpose that you don't starve to death? Like it's just a job that you know at the right moment or circumstances you wouldn't take that job. Yeah, okay. The story is about that. Now, generally when someone finishes like college or university, the next thing someone is always eager to to do is to get employed and get a job. So this happened when I finished my college. And then, okay, when I was in college, I had made a decision that from college I want to move out of my dad's house, so that I can start life on my own. Now, generally, I used to do some odd things, like selling, just small things, and there's so many things I could do, and then I would save up money, to start life. But remember, once you save, you have to get some money, just for continuity. So what I did after college, I looked for those one roomed how okay houses. Oh, okay, yeah, one room. I remember by then the room was around 4K. So I had saved when I was in college. I had saved around 25K. So 25K. So when I finished college, I looked for the place to stay, and then from the 25K, I had to like look for just buy the basics like a mattress, a bed, and then pay for the rent. So I remember the rent for that place was 4,000. So definitely when you pay rent, you have to pay rent plus deposit. So that out of the 25K, 8K was going towards deposit and then rent for the first month, and then I'll be left with some little money just to do a little, just to survive on. Now I had that that eagerness to look for a job, and then I was that ambitious because I finished college, and I just wanted to get something to get me going before probably I even secure something better, because I had to keep maintaining the lifestyle, or because otherwise I would just maybe stay there for a month or two and then again move back home or something. So every day I would wake up, and then there's someone just outside the place where I used to stay. The guy used Some old guy. He used to sell newspapers. So I would go there in the morning, and just go through the classified section, where they advertise jobs and stuff, and then just write things that I think I can do and stuff. So it happened that I saw. Now it took me almost I think 2 weeks after I just started staying by myself. So it took me 2 weeks, you know, of daily going through, the newspaper, the classified section, looking at the jobs that are being advertised. And, most of the jobs usually want someone with experience. So definitely that was something I didn't have. So I wanted something that, I could work and didn't have experience. And so one day I was lacking. I saw an ad on the newspaper, and it was a real estate kind of job, looking for clients for people who want to buy, sell, rent, property. So I definitely, the course that I did had nothing to do with real estate, but sometimes you just gotta believe in yourself and just try these things. So what I did, I applied for the job. Luckily enough, the job was specifying where you go and drop your your papers, your application. So it was somewhere in town, and actually when I was looking for a house, I I wanted somewhere close to town, like the CBD, where I don't have to use like a lot of in terms of transport, or I can walk just in case, because I didn't have a lot of money. So I saw the ad, and then I applied, and then I went and dropped. So after dropping, it took almost like a week after I dropped my CV. And trust me, the CV didn't have much apart from my education background, because I just finished college. So after a week, I received a call, and then I was invited, to an interview. So I went. Then we discussed. So the salary wasn't much, but literally I just wanted something, just to keep me going and stuff. So I remember the first salary was around 8K. So you see, with 8K, I used to tell myself, like, of course, 4K is gonna go towards rent, and then I can work to work, like, basically, I mean, something to be going until I find work. So now, one of the things, like, there are those jobs that are, just as I said at the beginning, you pick the jobs not because you're qualified for them, but you don't want to, like, starve to death. So I remember my boss, okay, one of the things that he had explained, during the interview, because remember now I was called for the interview. So I went, and then he said, like, okay, the 8K is going to be treated as retainer. And then in case I do any sales, close any deals, I'll have like he actually told me he'll give me I think 5 or 10% of their sales. But then, of course, he was to provide for, like, if I needed to go somewhere, like, he would provide like some of the basic things that I would need, like if I wanted to, So at that point, I didn't even know how to negotiate jobs and whatever. I just needed something, and I was excited to actually get a job, immediately after college. Because anyway, how many people have finished college, university, and stuff, and they've been looking for it like forever. So since I got that opportunity, I was like, all right, let me try my best. And it was a new place. I think it had my boss had used to work the same kind of job somewhere else, maybe for some company, and then he had closed a very big deal. Like, I think he had sold some block of flats somewhere, and then he made some good money, and then decided to open his own farm. So when he was opening, that's when he was recruiting. So I remember I was recruited, and then in the same office there was a lady secretary who was recruited as a secretary. Now her salary was 15,000, because now she didn't have any opportunity of making any sales and stuff, because it meant that she had to be in the office the whole time. So she was her starting salary was 15, mine was 8. And then after me, all right, after me again, there are some guys who are interviewed. But then I remember two of the guys, now their terms, actually them, they said they don't want any retainer money. But then the deal was, or the agreement between them and the boss to be, by that time I'm just the interview, and then we could just talk some of these things with some of the people who are we were interviewed together. So them, their deal was like, if they make any sell, they will divide 50-50, like 50 goes to the boss and 50 goes to them. So that's the deal they made. But you see, for me, I couldn't make such a deal, like, it means I had like zero, nothing to look back at, just in case I don't sell, what happens. So them, they were like confident, and to them they had said they had done that job for many years. Me, I hadn't. So I said, anyway, me, I'm just comfortable with my 10%. All right, so after we discussed that, so anyway, the boss said, okay, you guys go back home, and then we'll contact you, just in case you're successful or something. Now I went home. I remember the interview was on a Monday. So Tuesday, Wednesday, every day I'm checking my phone. I'm making sure that the phone is fully charged. That I'm just putting somewhere that there's no network. Loss of network. I'm just like waiting for that call. So then it came to around Thursday. I was like, no, those kind of waits that you like really wait for a long time, and you're like, no. So I told myself, let me call this guy, because in any case, what do I stand to lose? Because the wait was killing me. And in my heart, I was just like, yeah, I hope I'll be picked and stuff. So I picked the phone. I called the guy, introduced myself. Then I said, I'm just checking, because I hadn't had anything from him. So I wanted to know whether I was successful or not, so that I don't keep waiting, so that I can, I know actually what the guy told me, like, actually, like, he had never, like, seen anyone who called back to check on that. So just by the virtue that I had called to check whether I was successful, out of, the applicants that had, people that had been interviewed, we had been interviewed together, that's how I landed the job. So he said, okay, fine, I'm going to give you the job, you report on Monday. So that was on Thursday. So Friday, I was excited, I got the job, but I didn't even know what, like, anyway. So I went. on Monday. And apparently it's like, so that day when I went, I met the secretary, and then there were the two guys who had negotiated, the 50-50 deal. So in the morning, what used to happen, like, would go into the office, and then the boss used to buy the newspapers. Like, there are like 3 or 4 types of publications, like, so we would go, the first thing we would go through the newspapers and check the classified, that's where they list properties, for sale, for rent. And then you take numbers and then try to call the clients. And sometimes some of them are just other businesses or agencies like us. So like you negotiate, like maybe you want to go see the property, so that whenever you get a client, you can be able to sell the property to them or lease the property to them, and then you'll split the commission. I didn't know how that thing worked, but then for me, I just wanted money. I wanted to try, and I wanted the money. And so I remember the first month ended, I had 0 sales. I had not rented anything. Okay, I got my 8K. The 50-50 guys also had not sold anything, so that month they were 0. So that went on for again, the second month it happened. Now the thing is, like, you'd find a customer, like you'd go around, in offices, we were being given, the business cards. So you go around, meet some, when you meet someone on the street, or you go to people's offices, introduce yourself, you tell them what you do, you leave your card behind, and sometimes you would get calls back. Like, I remember there's a lady who told me she wanted to buy a house somewhere in Buruburu. She was a banker. So she told me, like, she's looking for a house, and then she gave me her budget. So I was excited, like, I have a client. So the thing is, I was just supposed to look for a property and, just link her up. Now, the thing is, sometimes you have the customer, you don't have the property. Sometimes you meet somebody who tells you, okay, I have a property I want to sell, but nobody wants to buy it. So there always used to be that mismatch. Now, this lady, I remember I kept, like, that budget that he had, there was no house in that area that would go for that much. But then the lady wasn't willing also to go up, and and every day we would have like a meeting, like the following day in the morning, like we would always have a meeting and then be told go out in the field, because anyway, for you to sell, you have to be out. So we would sit with the boss, and then we like give a report of what happened the previous day, and then the progress. And what the boss never wanted to hear, like, you didn't talk to anyone. So sometimes we would even fabricate stories. Yeah, like, I met this person. So even when I met that lady who wanted a house, I mean, that was like, I had something to present. And then these are the guys that had accepted the 50-50. For some reason, I don't know whether it was just overconfidence when they were saying the 50-50, or they had sold things before but then it wasn't happening. They weren't just coming up with stuff. And then now, I could not hold on to this lady story for a long time, because now if I'm not finding a house for this lady, I also had to look for other clients. So I remember I ended up, I saw an advert on in the newspaper, just as usual, like we used to do in the morning. So I called the number, and it happened to be another agent, but that guy was some Indian guy. Now, so he, I told him, like, I'm interested to see the property. Then now the guy told me, like, he is also a property agent, and for some reason he told me he doesn't deal with other agents, but he told me, like, if I can go to his office, and then we can discuss. So and actually in the morning we used to be told, the boss never used to want to see us seated in the office. So like, if you got somewhere to go, you would like really run very fast. So after I called the office and that number, and then the guy gave me his address, his office address wasn't far from where our offices were. So I went. So when I went, I was shocked. It was like some old guy, like there's this building called Rahimtullah Towers. So I don't know if it belonged to him or the family, but the guy was called Rahimtullah, but he was a very old guy. I don't know if he's still alive. I don't know. But then it turned out that this guy, just became my savior. Like, I went, and then I met the old guy, and then he never used to be in a hurry. So I would get into his office. I remember the first time I got into his office, he told me to sit down and wait, and he was like old, so he would do his things very slowly, and I would not hurry him. And then I was just lucky to be seated there, because otherwise I would be seated maybe somewhere in the park waiting to pass time because I couldn't go back to the office. So I remember that. Okay, so I sat. Then when he was ready, because he was on phone. After he finished, he called me, and then he called some guy. He used to have some office boy, like some guy who used to assist around. Then I was asked like what I wanted to drink. I was like, wow, okay, this office is nice. You even have stuff to drink. So the guy was like, so I didn't know what they had, so I just said whatever you have. I didn't want to look choosy. So apparently, and the only thing that they had, was water and soda. But then he only kept, is it the club soda or soda water? Or that one. That's what he used to take. So he had a mini fridge in the office, but it was just full of that. So like, okay, I was brought, and looking back, I don't even remember having ever tasted that soda. The way it's colorless, it doesn't just look like soda. So that was the first time. When I put it in my mouth, I was like, I couldn't even swallow it. So it took me time, like, anyway, after the soda thing. So the guy went to the property, told me about the property, and told me he doesn't like dealing with agents. But then for some reason, he doesn't even know why he accepted to meet me. But then he told me like he has a lot of properties, and then and he was, I think, he was a rich guy. So he had, like, I think clients would give him properties, and then maybe based on his age, and he didn't have like many, he couldn't move around a lot. So he just maybe trusted me or trusted some people, like he could give some of the properties to, to try and find clients. So he told me like, okay, you try, I'll give you some of the properties that if you are able to sell, all right, then I'll give you part of the commission. We will, we'll share. So now, like I remember I had that Buruburu lady, and then I had, also he gave me some properties, a list of properties, in some of the upmarket places where like he was trying to sell them, but then he couldn't. So he actually gave me the properties and addresses, and then called the the caretakers of the properties and told me like, you can go there and view, so that it's easy for you to take a client. So like whenever you get a property to sell, or it's a plus on my side or on your side, like you have something to give to the following, in the following days briefing every morning. So I remember like I would go, and then the boss would like praise me, like, yeah, see. So he was telling the other guys, like, see, like this lady is trying, coming up with properties, but then these properties, for some reason, like, now it happened after that, the Indian guy, like whenever I had like a property, I think maybe just used to give me properties that they were hard to sell or something. He would call me, and whenever he would call me, I'd be happy to go. Like I would tell the boss, like, are you guys like, I have a meeting with this client, like. Anyway, this world, you just have to fake it till you make it. So I would go to him, and then he would tell me I have another property. Or sometimes there's a time he gave me a client, actually, someone who was looking for a rental. It was some lawyers. It was like there were two lawyers. They were looking for a property in some specific area. So what I did, like I would go to the, in the morning, I would check in the newspaper and see if there's anyone who has a property in that area, and then call them. So I remember I took these clients to like 3 properties, but every time we would go, they'd be like, no, we don't like this window here. This property is good, but then because of this, you'll always find a customer who doesn't want the properties that you're showing them. And or sometimes you have properties that people don't want, like, things just never used to match. So 3 months down the line, I used to earn my retainer, which was 8K. The secretary used to earn her 15K, and these 2 guys never earned anything because they never sold. Now it happened that after I remember the end of the 2nd month. So one of the guys, there was a time maybe the boss would not be there. Maybe the boss would travel and go up country. So those days it was like an off day. So we didn't have to go to the field. Sometimes actually people just used to go to the field and you go and sit somewhere, or like sometimes you just don't have somewhere to go. And actually this sales kind of job, that's why I say I respect people who do sales. That is one job that I will only do if I'm starving and I don't have anything else to do, because convincing people to buy stuff that they don't want is not easy. So one of the guys, we were just seated in the office, and then one of the guys were just started talking, because remember I had my little retainer and then the secretary. So we could like buy lunch And actually the first month I would carry lunch to the office, and then sometimes you'd buy, like, maybe you buy a plate of fries, which wasn't like really expensive. So so we would eat, the secretary and I, but these guys would just be seated there looking at us. So actually we didn't know. Me, from the way they had presented themselves the first time, I knew, like, oh, these guys, they have sold, they have money, and like from their previous jobs, and that's why they even went into the 50-50 kind of deal. So we would sit and they would tell them, like, welcome, let's eat. They're like, no, we are okay. Now, that went on for like 2 months. Then now, at the end of the second month, now one of the guys was like, you guys, me, so he was telling us the way he's not okay. Because, like, his house had been closed, he had not paid rent. He didn't even have food, and the little money that he had, and the wife used to work with the city council, and that time is when sometimes the city council takes a long time before workers are paid. So he was telling us, just his predicaments, the way his wife had not been paid for, I don't know, 5 months. He has not sold anything now. This is the second month, going to the third month. They have, so we were like, okay. So I looked at them, I was like, why did you go, get into this deal of the 50-50? So while this guy was telling us the story, the other one also, told us also he had just similar problems. So we're like, why? So anyway, to cut the long story short, that job lasted 4 months. In the 4 months, now, within the 4 months, remember I said my boss is like, he had sealed some huge deal that he had used the money to open up the office, and then, just maybe keep us going and stuff. And then he also, I think, bought a nice car. Some of these jobs require you, meeting clients with, nice car. Of course, definitely someone like me, or just like on foot. Definitely, it was my first job. And actually, what kind of car can you buy with 8K? So by him, he had to keep up, that kind of, the boss kind of, look, and, so he had this car. So we realized things were not going well in the third month. The third month, I remember the boss would come in, like the first 2 weeks, the boss would come in and tell the secretary, like, okay, like, he would sit and then tell the secretary, like, I've forgotten to pay my parking, can you, like, go and pay for me, and then I'll refund you the money, I don't carry cash on me. So the secretary, after paying the boss's parking for almost 2 weeks, the secretary confided in me, like, there's a problem, like, every time the boss comes and he's like, you pay, he'll refund me, but then he doesn't refund the money. So at that time, we didn't think much of that. We just thought maybe the check had not cleared or something. So what we did, so the secretary paid until one morning, when the boss came and told the secretary to go and pay. The secretary said, like, she also didn't have money on her. So, and definitely me, I didn't have money. So the boss was like, can you ask to ask me whether I had some money? I said, like, me, I don't have money. So apparently his car was clamped. It was clamped, and when the car is clamped, you pay more than actually how the much you'd have paid, if you had paid for the parking ticket. So when his car was clamped, he, like, he made calls, whatever. He was asking people to lend him money. Eventually he got his car out. Then we were asking ourselves, so if he doesn't have money for parking, so how is he gonna pay our salary? That was the third month. Now the fourth month, apparently the office, I think the rent was being paid on quarterly basis. So he had paid for 3 months. That was now he was supposed to renew, to pay for the next 3 months. And then apparently he didn't have money. So the fourth month, we used to have the owners of the building, where the office were. They would come, and then the boss would tell us, whenever someone comes, we should tell the person that there is no, like, that he's not there, even when he was there. Or he would come very early, and then pick his stuff, whatever, and then leave. So whenever the management would come asking for rent or asking for the boss, actually we didn't know it was rent. They just used to come and ask for the boss, and then tell them the boss is not there, and then the person will go. And then eventually one of them opened, like, when are you guys going to pay rent? We're going to close the office. So that's when we realized that actually the problem was the rent wasn't being paid. So we were shocked. So we started asking ourselves, so the pattern started, things started clicking. Like, there was the parking thing, and then there was and then the newspaper stopped coming, being bought in the office. We just had, like, small things that used to happen. And then I remember these other guys had not sold anything. The boss like was rarely in the office, you know. So on the fourth month, just to say, like by the end of it, like there was no pay, and the office was closed. So the boss told us like he's looking for another place where we can move because this place has become expensive. So the boss didn't know that we had been told that the rent had not been paid. So we were just downplaying like we don't know. So the boss said he wants to leave that place, so we should go home, you know, and then he will get in touch because he's trying to finish some other office place, then we can move to there, but then we should just continue doing the sales and reporting to him on phone but working from home. So, and that is how like you know, I never sold any property. The other guys were worse off. In fact, I remember we used to like you know when they opened up, like we would, you know, like one of them had said like he didn't even know how he was gonna get home, and he used to stay far, so we would actually like, you know, contribute a little bit, me and the secretary. So we were actually the richest in the office, and then we would like contribute a little bit and like, you know, give them fare today, and sometimes we'd find like maybe we don't have enough money, you know, like that's how we lived. But then I realized that, you know, this sales thing, so I don't know if they were also just like me who never weren't good at sales or whatever, but I never understood why they entered into that deal. But for myself, a sales job, that is one of the jobs that I told myself that I will only do if like I'm getting to the end of it, you know, I have nothing else to do. But then if I have an option, that is one of the jobs that I would not do. So I don't know, like I have big respect for people who do sales and live on it. I don't know how you do it, but anyway, I think it's because maybe the course I had done had nothing, was no, had nothing to do with the sales. But I, to some extent, I just think like it's just difficult. So if you're a salesperson, big up. And then, so I just want to tell you the story of how, like, you know, I landed my first job, and I actually landed the job because I called, you know, let's look at you know, the lesson. One, if I didn't call, you know, for the job, if I didn't call like to just inquire whether I was successful or not, I would not have landed that job. So I'm just telling you guys, those who are looking for jobs, that's a tip that you can be able to, you know, just keep following up. You end up losing nothing. But then again, when you get a job, I mean, like if you're good at sales and stuff, maybe I mean, I respect you guys. But then whenever you apply for a job, just know sometimes you might end up not, you know, getting anything out of it. But then at least for the 3 months that I worked, I was able to survive in my house, you know, that I had started living. Then from there, anyway, life picked up from there. So so if you like the story, you know, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and then you know, leave a comment below, and then I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.